LA eagerly awaits the results for the hotly contested mayor's race. We'll take a closer look at campaign spending.
USC hosts a surprise concert as the latest stop on this band's tour.
And one man makes history as the youngest member of the House of Representatives.
Annenberg TV News is next.
Congresswoman Karen Bass calls the race for LA mayor, quote, a fight for the soul of our city. Hi, I'm Vinnett.
And I'm Choi. Tonight, the mayor's race is still deadlocked. Rick Caruso currently maintains a 2.5-point lead with Karen Bass, with Caruso holding 51% of the vote to Bass 48%. Both candidates spent most of this year campaigning, but as reporter Michael Mellinger shows us, one candidate spent a lot more money than the other.
My colleague John Lewis used to say,
career LA politicians.
What do we know about Rick Caruso?
This day, in this new church of Scientology.
Over the course of the campaign for LA's top job, Los Angeles developer Rick Caruso outspent his opponent, Congresswoman Karen Bass, by tens of millions of dollars, and the final push put him over the $100 million mark. Crosstown, a data journalism startup run out of USC Annenberg, is reporting that Caruso outspent Bass by over $92 million with a week to go before the election, and that total may now be over $107 million.
You've got to understand that if somebody spends $100 million on their campaign and doesn't win, that's a real blow, and of course that's a motivator to spend that extra $7 or $8 million in the last few days to make sure that your previous $100 million actually gets some kind of return on investment.
Caruso spent a large portion of his money targeting specific communities through ads, but also pursuing a large door-to-door effort.
More money on a field operation, on a get-out-the-vote effort, the likes of which we've never seen in Los Angeles politics before.
But if Caruso ends up defeating Bass, it may not be his money that won voters over.
Political graveyards are filled with very wealthy candidates who tried to sell messages that the voters didn't want to hear. Caruso might not end up getting elected mayor, but if he does, it's not going to be because the voters rejected his money. It's because they rejected his message.
Caruso currently leads Bass by roughly 2.5 percentage points. In a statement today, Bass's campaign said, quote, "We feel great about these early numbers, and we expect to see support for our campaign build even more as further reports are released." Caruso's campaign did not immediately return our request for comment. For Annenberg Media, I'm Michael Mellinger.
One day after the midterms, both parties are still fighting to seize control of the nation's most competitive states. Political reporter Dario Fair has been following some of those tightly contested races and joins us now with the latest.
Thank you, Maya. Voters are waiting for the dust to settle as the results for many races across the nation are still unknown. Senate and gubernatorial races in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Maryland are expected to shift the balance of power. In Pennsylvania, Democratic candidate John Fetterman has won the U.S. Senate election with 50.6% of the votes, beating TV personality and Republican candidate Dr. Oz. In Georgia, neither Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock or Republican challenger Herschel Walker has secured more than 50% of the vote, and a runoff election will be held on December 6th. The results were clear for Georgia's governor's race. Incumbent Governor Republican Brian Kemp soundly defeated Democrat Stacey Abrams by nearly 8 points. In Arizona, Republican Kari Lake and Democrat Katie Hobbs are locked in at a dead heat. Right now, Hobbs leads Lake by about 3,500 votes. That's a lead less than 1%. Among one of the most historical races, Democrat Wes Moore was elected as Maryland's first black governor. Moore flipped the governor's mansion from Republican to Democrat and was considered to be a win for Democrats, regaining an office where Republicans lead in governor seats. USC professor Tom HOLLIHAN says that the war in Ukraine and climate change are a concern if Republicans take the majority.
I will be concerned if we see suddenly a desire to abandon Ukraine, for instance. I think that would be a very negative consequence. I'm also concerned that we're not going to see action on climate that we need to see. We're facing an existential climate crisis, and now we've elected a party that is populated by climate deniers and people who are unwilling to take action to address that climate crisis.
Ballots in many of these races are still being counted, which means we won't know who won and who lost for at least a few more days. I'm Daryl Fair, and this is your Political Pulse.
Last night, Florida progressive Maxwell Frost became the first member of Gen Z to be elected to Congress. The 25-year-old wrote on Twitter, quote, "We won! History was made tonight. Made for history of Floridians, for Gen Z, and for everyone who believes we deserve a better future." The March for Our Lives and ACLU activists beat Republican Army veteran Calvin Wimbush to represent Florida's 10th congressional district with nearly 60% of the vote. Here at USC, students welcomed the news that a fellow member of Gen Z had made it to Congress.
There's going to be people in Congress that represent us who were brought up the same way that we were, who have similar life experiences, similar world perspectives and perspectives on life. So I think it's good that now we have someone our age.
Gen Z, man, I didn't even know that. That's so crazy. I really care about the environment, and I really care about Earth and where I'm going to be living in 20 years, and I really hope that where I live is going to be safe and healthy. And
this year's midterms marked the first time Gen Z members have run for Congress.
California's Proposition 1 passed with overwhelming support from voters. The measure will either enshrine the right to abortion and contraceptive use into the state's constitution. Similar measures were also passed yesterday in Vermont and Michigan, with this map showing where in the U.S. abortion is now legal.
The prop passing, what it really does is make sure that our current rights are protected at the highest level. The California state constitution protects the right to abortion. But what we've been seeing across this election cycle is that the ballot initiatives having to do with abortion have been very successful in the pro-choice direction. The votes last night on abortion are not purely along partisan lines. What we're seeing is that people are voting Republican and also voting in favor of abortion rights.
Following the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, abortion is now mostly banned in at least 13 states, predominantly in the South.
California voted on 6 additional propositions yesterday, ranging from issues on sports betting to flavored tobacco sales. Let's take a look at which props passed and what that means for Californians. Prop 26, which would have allowed in-person sports betting at tribal casinos and horse races, was overwhelmingly rejected by Californians yesterday. Prop 27, which would have legalized online sports betting for adults, was also struck down, with over 83% of voters rejecting the measure. Residents also voted no on Prop 30, which would have raised taxes on personal incomes over $2 million to support the sale of electric cars and fund wildlife prevention. Prop 31 was passed last night with 62% of the vote, upholding a 2020 law banning the sale of most flavored tobacco products.
While there were no major controversies during last night's vote, many people believe voter fraud is a major and ongoing problem in U.S. elections. According to a poll from ABC News, only 20% of Americans say they have confidence in our electoral system. That's despite data showing well under 0.1% of votes are fraudulent. Many poll workers say election officials need to do more to defend the voting process, especially to skeptics.
I got to see in 2020 that people had been fed a narrative. It's not that the people who want to preserve the legitimacy of our elections have offered a worse narrative. It's that they haven't offered a narrative at all. They need to be providing true narratives that are resonant with these people, that get them to trust the process and trust our elections.
According to Reuters' fact-check team, former President Trump filed more than 50 lawsuits alleging voter fraud during the 2020 election. All of those cases were dismissed by state and federal judges. Find out how USC students are coping with ongoing election stress.
Students share the foods that keep them going when they're sick and feeling overwhelmed.
And Meta becomes the latest tech company to announce widespread layoffs.
Worried your friend's struggling but don't know how to reach out?
You could say how are you or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could write them a text or knit them a sweater. If you can't be together, you could write them a letter. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking. You could chat on the game, kick off your flip-flops. You could ask on your couch while you binge watch. However you do it, you gotta ask a friend. And if they don't share, you can ask again. Whatever gets you talking. Whatever gets you talking.
There are a lot of ways to reach out to a friend about their mental health. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight, both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand, trying to text somebody back, because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
This is First Generation College Student Week here at USC, with many Trojans celebrating being the first in their family to attend college. We visited USC's First Gen Plus Success Center to talk to the First Gen students about their experience and what kind of challenges they face in their pursuit of higher education.
I definitely do feel like there's a very strong disconnect between like me and my parents. It's really hard for me to kind of explain what I'm doing here in college and why I chose my major. Another contributing factor to why I continue to do what I'm doing, because I know that they sacrificed and were courageous in something new, and I wanted to kind of do that in the mathematical field.
I know that they cannot help me on those kind of new things for me, but I always help know that they are support me in different ways.
First generation college students make up nearly 20% of the total undergraduate student population in the United States. And in USC's 2022 admitted class of students, 1 in 5 applicants identified as first generation.
I think it's really beautiful what we're doing for the center and like for students. Career-wise, I think it's quite difficult to know like if you're majoring in the right thing. A lot of times first gen students don't have someone to look to career-wise. So I guess the huge thing would be like knowing what to study and like if it's actually worth your time and money. So we're just trying to build community within the First Gen Center.
The First Gen Success Center will continue hosting events throughout the end of this week.
Facebook's parent company, Meta, says it's laying off 11,000 employees, or about 13% of its workforce. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg made the announcement this morning. It follows nearly 4,000 layoffs at Twitter last week. Other companies like Lyft, Robinhood, and e-commerce service provider Stripe have also made deep cuts into their workforces. Experts say the trend is likely to continue.
The recession, people are anticipating this is part of what is a recession that's coming or that is happening now, but in 2023 that may happen more. So we may see more people who are out of work, not just now, but maybe even into 2023.
Laid off Meta employees will receive at least 16 weeks of pay. The company says it'll also cover their health insurance for the next 6 months. Classes are a little emptier than usual as students are experiencing a wave of the common cold. Julia, how can we take care of ourselves as we head into the final weeks of the semester?
Well, Eric, here's some food for thought. Students are missing their mom's cooking a little more than usual, and not just because Thanksgiving is fast approaching. November also brings the triple threat: the flu, COVID, and RSV. Students tell us what they're eating to get through the common cold.
Bunch of snacks, lots of granola bars.
Always the go-to is chicken noodle soup, but my mom is really on that like health and wellness vibe, so she does like ginger tea.
It's funny you ask that because I was just sick. My mom would make sinigang, which is a Filipino soup. I have no idea how to make it myself here, so I'm just going out of a can from Target.
For many students, the odds of eating healthy, fulfilling food when they're sick are slim. Going to the dining halls isn't an option, which means prepackaged soup, fresh fruits, vegetables, and hot tea are some of their only options. But graduate students at the Herman Ostrow School of Dentistry say that eating comfort foods isn't enough to combat sicknesses. Sometimes you need to look a little deeper.
A lot of sicknesses in the body are found through things that people end up finding in their mouth. Usually students will get, what we call cold sores or like fever blisters. And we usually, recommend, like a salt and water gargle or something like that. I guess it would be nice to know for students who get like colds or like who have any like fever blisters or like viral etiology related signs on their mouth to get it checked. Sometimes it could be a little more than that, and sometimes it's just a cold and it will go away within 2 weeks.
As we move into mid-November, combining healthy eating with regular checkups is the best way you can fight off the triple threat. But besides a wave of the common cold, Eric, what else can we expect going into the rest of the week?
Thanks, Julia. I'll definitely be looking in at those tips to help avoid the triple threat. As always, your segment is great. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eric A. I'm joining Team Wednesday today, filling in for Mariella, who isn't feeling too well. Hope you get better soon, to bring you the weather report. So without further ado, let's go into the current conditions. We are at a 59 degrees and it says it's sunny right now, but with daylight savings ending, it is already dark. So it's already chilly, which is uncanny and uncharacteristic for LA weather. Now, if we take a look at the 5-day weather forecast, you can see we are finally coming out of the cold. Right? For tomorrow, Thursday, we have a high of 66 and a low of 45. And then Friday, we have our first crack back into the 70s. And Friday is an important day. 1, we have Veterans Day, and 2, we have a football game. This is unlike your traditional slate of Saturday, which I'm sure you'll hear more about when we get to sports. And then looking ahead to our weekend after we just hit 70s, we're going to go back down a little bit to the mid 60s. And then on Monday again, looks like we're going to rise back up closer inching to the 70s with a high of 68 and a low of 43. I'm Eric A. This has been your weather report. Let's now toss it to Joey and Carlo for sports.
Thanks, Eric. Meep, meep. The Roadrunners run in reverse in rainy Los Angeles. Vroom, vroom. Ralphie rumbles west to take on the Trojans. And goals are what USC is hoping for this Saturday. All that and more coming up next on Sports.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay. Yeah. Hey Smokey, catch!
Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, read your lease. No pets allowed. My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Carlo Jimenez.
And I'm Joey Elbaum. The Herd is coming to Los Angeles a day early. That's right. The 8th-ranked Trojans take on the Colorado Buffaloes under the lights on Friday. With a chance to rope in Ralphie and take down the Buffaloes, it's time to meet the opponent. Carlo, who should we look out for this week?
Yeah, Joey, the Buffaloes have one of the strongest kicks in the animal kingdom, and that's why kicker Cole Becker is my player to watch. Cole has canned 10 field goals this season, including connections on 5 from 40 yards plus. The former top recruit has a career long of 56 yards. If Colorado wants a fighting chance, they'll need Becker to be his best for the Buffs this Friday. Joey, I know who to watch for on special teams. Are there any other special Buffaloes to keep my binoculars on?
Carlo, named honorary captain for this week's game, wide receiver Montana Lemonius Craig has the potential to have a big receiving day. He's expected to play a larger role for the rest of the season as leading receiver Jordan Tyson suffered a season-ending injury last week. Although the numbers may not show it, with 258 yards and only 2 touchdowns, Lemonius Craig has been a steady performer for the Buffs this season. The sophomore's biggest moment of the year came in the team's only win against Cal when he caught the game-winning touchdown pass in overtime. The Buffaloes can run up to 35 miles per hour, but we'll see if Montana Lemonius Craig will reach his top speed against the Trojans. So, Carlo, game on Friday should be interesting. And again, an easy game for the Trojans on paper, but we said that about Cal, and Cal only lost by 6 to the Trojans. What are your keys to success on how USC can blow the Buffaloes out of the water?
Yeah, USC in their first 6 games, Joey, scored a touchdown on their opening drive. In their last 3, they have not scored a touchdown on their opening drive. If you want to blow out the Buffaloes, you need to score early. Trojans need to get on the board.
Absolutely. I mean, Lincoln Riley mentioned yesterday in practice that when the offense has been lackluster, the defense has stepped up. If the defense has been lackluster, the offense has stepped up. This is a time for the Trojans to bring it all together, be a full, complete team, and honestly destroy the Buffaloes. The game is at 6:30 p.m. on Friday at the Coliseum.
USC men's basketball squares off against the Hornets from Alabama State tomorrow night. The game is the first edition of the Pac-12 men's basketball partnership with the SWAC Conference, a conference made up of historically black colleges and universities. The USC women's basketball team began the tradition, taking on Texas Southern last year. The Pac-12 and the SWAC partnership is aimed at raising awareness about the important roles of HBCUs in higher education. SWAC Commissioner Charles McClellan spoke about the significance of the conference partnership.
This is a true game changer, and the Pac-12 has been synonymous with diversity and diversifying efforts throughout their history. And now the Southwestern Athletic Conference is a part of that, and we cannot be more thrilled.
The Trojans will look to bounce back on Thursday after losing their season opener for the first time since 2014, earlier this week.
Women's soccer opens the 2022 Women's College Cup at home on Saturday. The Trojans drew a 4 seed in the 64-team field. This is the 9th year in a row USC has made the tournament. The first round opener will be a rematch against UC Irvine. The Trojans defeated the Anteaters 3-2 earlier this season. USC's Choi Bethune was awarded her 2nd consecutive Conference Midfielder of the Year award. She is one of 6 Trojans to earn all Pac-12 honors. Bethune is the first player to win Midfielder of the Year in back-to-back seasons. She leads the team in goals, assists, and total points. Simia Wuho and Simone Jackson were also named to the first team. The Trojans have advanced past at least the first round 13 times in their history. They'll look to make it 14 on Saturday at 1 p.m. at McAllister Field.
USC women's basketball kicked off year 2 of the Lindsay Gottlieb era with a win yesterday over Cal State Bakersfield. The Trojans were led by Kadi Sissoko and Akako Erika, who had 15 points each. USC's 7 new transfers accounted for over 60% of their total points. USC continues their season Saturday against Idaho State.
The women's volleyball team concludes their homestand with 2 more matches this weekend. The NorCal teams are coming to the Galen Center to take on the Trojans. USC has won 4 straight at home. They're 12-1 at the Galen Center this season. The Stanford Cardinal visit as the 8th-ranked team in the nation, dropping just 1 match in Pac-12 play. Also visiting are the Cal Golden Bears, who are 0-14 in Pac-12 this season. The Trojans take on Stanford in just over an hour at 7 p.m. at the Galen Center. USC plays Cal Saturday at 1 p.m. That's all the time we have today on sports. As always, Carlo Jimenez, I'm Joey Elbaum. Tossing it back over to Maya to help with our college need and balances.
Ooh, don't I need some balance? Balancing everyday life and the pressure of being in college is tough. Here's how students are handling it.
Lávate las manos por 20 segundos como Elmo.
Hay algo especial acerca de este lugar. Se siente como un hogar, una sala debajo del cielo y los árboles. Rodeado de aire fresco y la naturaleza. Todo aquí para que lo disfrutemos y para que lo cuidemos. Tenemos la responsabilidad de cuidar de esta tierra que llamamos casa, de preservarla para las generaciones que vienen. Cada acción pequeña contribuye para un cambio mayor y cada uno de nosotros podemos hacer la diferencia. Hay algo especial acerca de este bosque. Es un lugar donde se hacen recuerdos y juntos podemos preservarla y protegerla.
Young and the Giant made a surprise appearance today at the USC Religious Center. The popular Christian band played several of their biggest hits, such as Cough Syrup and Mind Over Matter. Fans appreciated the surprise concert.
It was kind of weird that they had such a big name and announced it in such a short time. It was quite unexpected from USC, but it was really cool.
Made by performers from the Kleinmann School of Dance.
Between taking exams, keeping up with homework, and worrying about our futures every day can feel like a stressful day to be a college student. We asked students how their post-election stress is doing as election night turns into election week in America.
I am registered to vote in Georgia, but it's not great having to wait and kind of seeing the numbers go up and down and then being like, okay, we're at 97%. Why is 3% taking longer than 97%? I kind of expected this, just kind of the way the political climate in Georgia has been, kind of was leaning towards this. It's still disappointing for me personally, just like my value system.
I think in the state of California, I think it's a little bit more lax in terms of like reproduction rights and other human rights aspects. There's still obviously some things at stake. For example, here in Los Angeles County, as like the sheriff's department and the mayor. But in comparison to other states, I do feel like this election is a little bit more lax.
I feel like the local elections are a lot more important because I feel like they hit a lot closer to home. You're more inclined to know the candidate, maybe know someone who knows the candidate, know someone who endorsed the candidate. So it is a little bit stressful, but it's really cool to look at to see people you know either winning or losing, just getting involved in politics.
USC Student Health is currently sponsoring the Well-Beings Wednesday text series. Students can text Healthy Minds to 877-540-0674 to receive weekly text message reminders encouraging them to reduce stress through breathing techniques and gratitude practices.
And that's all we've got for today. Before we end, I'd just like to mention, look at us, we're so well matched today, can't you see? I just wanted to say that. I just thought we've got some time. But thanks so much for watching Annenberg TV News from everyone at Annenberg Media. I'm Eric Human Choi.
And I'm Maya Vinnett. For more coverage and more of me and Eric matching outfits, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Good night.